Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is renewal and the practices that we have that we find renewing and what it is that makes us sometimes resist those very things that will replenish and reset ourselves. So it should be fun. Before we get started though, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out and illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale, exhale any negativity, fatigue, tension, stress that remains. And now let's just gently press our palms together very softly. Let's rub our fingers against our palms to feel the softness, the tickling, the tingling, that wonderful sensation, and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, in these magnificent bodies that enable us to experience life. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday to you. And so today we're talking about renewal. And what is that, and why is it that sometimes we resist the very thing that is going to help to revitalize us and re-energize us? And why this is coming up is because it feels like a long time ago, I guess it was around January, I think it was, I finally gave myself, good morning, Tori, welcome, so good to have you here with us. We're talking about renewal. So the reason for this topic is that back in January, I guess, I finally gave myself the gift of setting myself up to do some, thank you, Tori, hugs to you too, to do some painting in a medium called encaustic, which is wax. It's wax with pigment, and it's an awesome medium because you can do collage with it, you can do traditional type painting with it. It's just really neat. Plus you get to use a torch and to keep the wax warm, and a hot plate, and all these wonderful tools. So I gave myself that gift back in January, and I did a spate of this painting for a while, and then I stopped. And it's been sitting there calling to me, waiting for me for months. And, I kept making excuses that when I would have my office clean, I would go for it. Well, I cleaned the other day, and I actually have, I have space on my desk. So yesterday, I dug in and played with the wax and paint and color, and it was really fun. And what I realized is that it gave me energy. It kind of gave me a bit of a reset, to feel more connected, to be allowing myself deeper, greater expression, the exploration of, curiosity, and just seeing what would happen without having any intended result. Oh, excuse me, still moving lots of energy. Anyway, So what I realized is that, good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. What I realized is that I had spent a lot of time kind of resisting the thing that I knew would be feeding my soul. And oh, so good to have you here, Tori. Thanks for stopping in. Hugs to you back. Anyway, so it made me think, why do we do this? Why, when we know that there's something that is going to be revitalizing and rejuvenating for us, why would we resist that thing? Why would we not actively embrace that thing? For some people, maybe it's meditation, or maybe there's a bunch of different things that might revitalize us, but meditation, creative expression, writing, going for a walk in nature, all different kinds of things that we might be able to do that enable us to presence ourselves more fully to ourselves again, to reconnect. And it's interesting to me to see how long I waited, how long I didn't allow myself to really dig in and play with the wax and the paint and just my toys, so to speak. I wonder what's up with that. Like why would I deny myself that? And I think that probably I'm not alone in that dynamic, which is why the topic today. So what does, when we feel a need for renewal or reconnection or revitalization, what is it that makes us resist that rather than just easily embrace it? It's such an interesting thing. And I wonder if you see this in yourselves, where you need a boost or to reconnect, or there's a desire for that. And yet, what do? We say, well, I have to do this first. I have to do that first. We don't prioritize our own well-being in many, many ways. So, like when we look at these things that nurture our souls, I think that we can tend to look at them as indulgences rather than essentials, when in fact, these things are essential to our beingness, right? They're essential to nurturing our life force and reconnecting ourselves, plugging ourselves back in. I think it's so interesting, the way that all of us, on all different degrees, certainly, but have moments where we ignore self-care, maybe extended moments where we ignore the things that are going to most serve us because we have other things that we prioritize instead, which are kind of to-dos, if that makes sense. Like I could have balanced my accounts, that needs doing, right? I could have done that. I could have done any number of other things that were more pressing, in big air quotes, but I chose to do this creative play, which was really, really restorative for me. And, I feel like I have a new energy this morning that I didn't have previously. Rosalind says, how about not getting a dog? I often say, after my current dog passes away, instead of getting another dog, I think I'll get my animal love by volunteering at the shelter. dogs waiting to get adopted need to be walked on the campus at the shelter. Rosalind, I think that's a beautiful thing to be volunteering and giving love to these other animals. I will venture a guess, though. I'm just going to make a wager with you that should you do that, you will fall in love and end up with at least one dog home. I know that dogs are really demanding in terms of time and energy, but I can't imagine working at a shelter and not falling in love and Rosalind says I will. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a guarantee. You know, you'll be able to share your wonderful heart with these other animals, and somebody's gonna somebody's gonna have you bring them home. I don't doubt that for a second. Yeah, I mean, I think working at a shelter could make it so that you have a house full of animals potentially. I think that that would happen for me as well. And my cat, I have a cat, Jewel. You all know Maggie, but I have a cat, Jewel, who forbade me to get a cat or a dog. And she gave me permission to have a bird, which is pretty funny because Maggie tortures her, you know, so, but it seems that that was okay with her. I muscle test, so that's how I find I'm able to get information from her. Anyway, yeah, so the things that feed our souls, you know, whether it's activities, typically, you know, an activity can get us into a place where we're feeding our soul. So for instance, for me, it was playing with wax and paints yesterday and color. That color is really, really such a source of spiritual nourishment for me. It's amazing. And to be able to play with moving color around is just fun, and to see how things interact. And anyway, I am so curious because I'm aware of self-care, you know, and I do a lot of things for self-care, but it was interesting to me to see how long I let the paints languish, you know, before digging into that. And it wasn't that it wasn't calling to me. It was kind of making excuses for not doing it, you know, it's just so interesting to see, to recognize our own resistance to things that we know are going to be nurturing and nourishing for us. And I've seen that even for myself with meditation. I go through periods where I meditate regularly, and other periods where I know that it would make a difference, but I don't take the action. And, you know, it's interesting. Speaking of action, I was on a thread of folks who had been participants in Joe Dispenza workshops. And there was this whole debate about action. And as a coach, many coaches are very focused on goals and objectives and the doingness of our being, you know, how we show up in the world, the actions. But for me, in my coaching practice, I really focus people more on beingness, where the actions then become an expression of the beingness, where we move, instead of from to-dos, we move from beingness and inspiration. And now I get to remember why I was going down this path. So the thing that is creating revitalization is often part of an action. So for instance, for me, the beingness with the painting was curiosity and playfulness to see, let's play with this and see what happens. That was the intention, is to just play and explore. It wasn't to make something beautiful, because that's a huge constraint, right? To make something beautiful. But it was really just to be playing. But the thing is that it was an action, and meditation is an action. Choosing to think differently is an action. And there was a conversation on this thread that I mentioned about how it's not about action, it's all about being. And the thing is that the way that we interact with the world is a combination of being and doing. That we create action, that action is necessary in the world, to manifest the lives that we live into. And whether that action is directed thought, it's an action, or it is going and leafleting a neighborhood because of a desire to share certain information, for example. There are actions, and an action can be more passive than other actions. Maybe at least overtly, meditation looks like a more passive type action, although it's really not. It's a high level of engagement, ideally, right? Or disengagement, if you want to say it that way. But I think renewal happens by, or life in so many ways happens by allowing ourselves to put ourselves in circumstances that support the intended or desired outcome, right? So for me, I was feeling a bit stagnant, and so exploration is an antidote. I didn't think this through necessarily until this moment, but what I realized is that I was feeling a bit stagnant, and the painting is an exploration. It's going into a realm of unknown that I get to explore and play and discover. And that fed a part of me that was feeling a little stagnant. It sparked new awareness or new experience. And I wonder what kinds of practices assist you in reconnecting. Because often we know the things that create the environment that will nurture and nourish us, and yet again we avoid those things. And I don't know why. I don't know if that's because there's some kind of predisposition to suffering, or if it has something to do with deserving. Good morning, Elaine. Oh, I love the emojis. How wonderful. A mirror and all kinds of lightning bolts and stars and beautiful flow in the now, all. And to you, Elaine, so good to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about renewal of body and spirit and mind and being. And so what kinds of things do you find help you to renew yourself? Whether, and it is typically an action, whether it's an active action or a more internal action, still an action to shift our thoughts, to shift our emotions, to shift our attention. So what kinds of things provide renewal for you? Creativity is very, very nurturing for me. That's something that I really enjoy. And I think for me in the painting with the with encaustic is pigmented wax. And I let myself get back to it yesterday for the first time in months and months. The thing that I enjoy very much about it is there are many pieces of it. You know, I enjoy the textures a lot. I enjoy the colors. I enjoy the balance between heat and cold. You know, it's like because the wax flows differently depending on whether the surface is hot or the brush is hot or how hot the wax is. And so playing with all those different factors, plus the way that the colors blend together, and the way that the layers build on each other, and it's really fun. And just having no rules. So Rosalind says, are Maggie's feathers developing color? I don't think I noticed blue on her tail. I like a clean car, but I haven't washed it in a very long time. Maybe today I will, while listening to music, while detailing. You know, okay, so as far as Maggie goes, she's had color, and I just want to show you, if she'll let me show you her wings. Here, Maggie, come here for a second. Look at this. This is really beautiful. So beautiful wings, Maggie. Beautiful wings. Beautiful wings. Such a good girl, Maggie. Beautiful girl. So gorgeous on her wings. On her tail, there's no blue really on her tail. You might have been seeing the blue from her wings. So, but she is pretty brilliant in colors, and sometimes she seems brighter than others. But anyway, back to your car. One of the things about cleaning I notice is that is transformational. I don't particularly love cleaning, but when I do it, I can really get into it. It's not my first line of things that I would choose to do, but when I do it, it really is transformational. You know, the being in an environment that's clean feels so good that it makes it worth it makes it worth the energy of cleaning, which also opens up space, at least for me. So maybe Rosalind, doing your car and having a clean car, you know, being able to, I think, you know, whenever I got a hair in my eye, I don't know where it came from because I don't have hairs. It could be my cat. Anyway, whenever I would go to a new apartment, I would paint it. And painting it allowed me to experience all its corners, all its edges. And I think that that's kind of what cleaning does. It helps us to reconnect, you know, with all the nooks and crannies, and to be present to a place, and to make ourselves present in every corner. And then the energy of the place feels so different. So Elaine says, every now is new in the present, unless we're living from the mind of past or future. The now offers all as is for me. That's awesome, Elena. I think that you are not the norm. That many of us are more at the effective past or future. However, I mean, even in the moment, I can sit in the moment. I was present to, for instance, myself in a moment, and in that I felt, I noticed that I had been feeling stagnant, and I don't know that that was consciously tied to past or future for me. It might have been, you know, like eager to be having the future I'm envisioning now. That might have been part of it. But anyway, it brought, this activity brought me back to really being able to focus and be present in the experience of creativity. So Rosalind says, good girl, Maggie, beautiful wings. Doesn't she have incredible wings? She does. She really, really does. So Elaine says, I love just being and observing myself shifting in the natural, not creating an experience to shift, but to allow myself to be right where I am at, and that be perfectly okay as it unfolds now. Exactly. That's the ideal, right? Is to just be able to be present wherever we are now. And the, like I said, it wasn't conscious and deliberate for me to say, oh, I've been feeling stagnant, so I'm going to go paint. I recognized that once I started painting that I had been feeling stagnant, because I guess it was starting to move me from that place a bit, or I was starting to move me from that place. And the unfoldment, in at least in my experience, and Elaine, I think you're something of a unicorn, but in my experience, doing different things provides a container for different experiences, and moving into those containers is something that comes from inspiration. So the painting finally came from a place of inspiration, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm doing that now. And it did create an opening. Anyway, I just noticed the time, and I want to thank you again always for being so engaged and being involved in these conversations with me. I so appreciate you and appreciate the time we spend together. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network. Elaine says, going to paint is living in the now. Beautiful. I love to paint. Well, you know what? I do too. And thank you for a great start to this new week. So, so, so much love to you. Until next time, I hope I see you again here really soon.